welcome to the DudeFax Podcast. It is me and Jay Philly, Jay Tilly and Jay Philly today. No R-Dub. Yeah. I just wanted to match you.
You decided to go with that instead of Jay Fizzle and
Jay Tizzle, JT, Hey You.
Yeah, that works.
Just no Grant or Ryan tonight. They are off doing non-podcast things. We can't say what those are because truly I don't think we know. But it's us tonight, and we're going to have some fun. Before we get too far into this, I have to give a special shout out. My daughter, who is now in college, you probably can. Wow. Oh yeah, you can see this little tiny turtle if you're watching this. She left some little tiny turtles around our house just for fun to hopefully help us to remember her like we were going to forget her. And she put this one on the podcast table I have upstairs and said, please give this turtle a shout out on your next podcast. So there you go. There's the shout out
turtle.
That turtle. Yeah. Michelangelo, he's orange. So that works.
How does it feel having a daughter in college, having your first kid there?
It's sad. That was one of the hardest things I've had to do as a parent, quite honestly, is watch her leave the nest. That was really, really tough.
Where is she? Where'd she go?
She's at Covenant College down in Lookout Mountain, Georgia, Chattanooga area.
In the Noog. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful up there. She's loving it.
Yeah.
Doing great.
It's on top of the mountain out there.
It is all the way up there past Rock City. So you can go see Rock City, and then you can go a little further and see Karis. So very cool. Luckily, I've been distracted. I mean, I miss my daughter, but it's football season, and that helps sort of alleviate the pain. Silas and I cry together as we watch football, mainly because the Gators suck.
Y'all got to win this past weekend, though.
No, we lost.
Oh, did you lose?
Yeah, we lost to LSU.
Oh, that's right. So what are you guys? One and
we
two?
are 1-2.
Sorry about that.
Luckily, I do have Austin P, who's playing great, by the way. Put up a fight
in
against
the top
Georgia.
25.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So football's been fun.
The reason they're in the top 25 of their division is because they whipped MTSU.
Yeah,
has nothing to do with how closely they played Georgia. It's because they whipped Middle.
And then they played Morehead State last week and won 56-7. So
there you go.
The 9-3-1 is representing.
Yeah, I should have worn my hat.
Yeah. How are you feeling about your football teams there, Josh?
So, Vols fan here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I feel like they're better than people thought they would be this year. The way they lost that game to Georgia is extremely disappointing.
That was tough.
They had that game won. And gosh, and I remember talking to some Georgia friends before and saying, if I feel about this game like I did about 3 years ago, I guess, when Alabama came to Neyland and Tennessee beat them in Neyland when they had Nick Saban as the coach. And because it was one of those like, okay, well, if we're ever going to beat them, now's the time. And that's how I felt about this Georgia game. It's like, now's the time, early in the season, before they really settle in. But I think Kirby Smart just likes to give Tennessee a big lead at the beginning for fun. Like, I think that's all it is. It's just fun for him.
He's toying with them.
Yeah, he knew it would come down to the way it did, and he just wants to laugh. So, and then Middle is terrible. So there's that as well. But that's understandable because they always are. And Derek Mason is their coach, who has done nothing but lose in his career. And then the Titans are terrible. So it's a great season. Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Tennessee gave up more points to Georgia than Austin P did.
That's right. Are we celebrating that?
But of course, they scored a lot more on Georgia than Austin P did.
That's true.
But
that's true.
Yeah.
It's
just happy for the P.
That's right. Good for the P.
Well, if you aren't watching football, and we're talking to you, our listeners, our viewers, then what are you doing? I mean, come on. If you aren't watching football, even if your teams stink, I have to assume that you're doing something extremely unmanly. And to sort of talk through this, I wanted to do a special top 7 list of the most unmanly things that you are probably doing besides watching football.
I like that.
So we're going to go through this little top 7 list. So number 7, the 7th most unmanly thing you're probably doing if you are not watching football is a spa night with cucumbers. Nice. So laying back in a robe, while the game's on, and or the game's not on, and you've got like an avocado mask, just rocking with the cucumber eyes. That kind of stuff.
I see. I was picturing somebody, on their bed in the robe, relaxing, some Enya playing, but having like cucumbers laying next to them.
That
when
too.
you said spa night with cucumbers. Okay, yours makes much more sense.
Enya makes sense though.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So number 6. Pie baking selfies. So you're making pie and you're posting selfies of yourself and the pie, like just you and your lattice crust, #blessed, and working on your pie game. I have to admit I've done that, so I might fall into some of this.
But have you done it while ignoring football?
No, usually I have football on while I'm making
that's
the pie.
Probably okay.
So.
Right?
Yeah.
I
think so. I'm a consumer of pie, so I make it so I can consume it.
That's right. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah. All
Nothing wrong with a good pie. But like what I would do if I'm at home and I'm watching football and I want pie, I'm just going to go get a can of cherry pie filling and a spoon.
And
just do that.
That works.
Whipped cream. I'm not concerned with top. Spray whipped cream, bite of the other.
Oh yeah. Easy.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about the crust if I don't have
that
to.
Way you won't miss a flag or, a play coming out of a timeout or something.
That's right.
All right, number 5, a scented candle showdown. So arguing whether Autumn Crisp smells better than Cozy Fireside or Pumpkin Brittle.
Any candle that has to do with fall food is automatically going to smell amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go bake pies after that. All right, number 4. This one sounds interesting. A leaf collecting journal.
Did you come up with these or did ChatGPT?
This is totally ChatGPT.
A leaf collecting journal.
Yeah.
Okay. Like where you like put on the paper and has a clear sheet and you iron it down or something.
You go out, you collect leaves, you bring them back in, get a scrapbook with some glitter glue, make some nice titles. Different leaves. Different shades of leaves, because you can get them all throughout the autumn season.
Right now, they're all brown and dead.
Yeah.
We've had no rain here.
Yep, it's been bad. So this may be a bad year to start the leaf collecting journal. Maybe next year.
Unless you're into like ugly dead leaves.
Yeah. All right, number 3. Josh, I want to see you do this. Knitting a blanket for your beard.
For your beard or from your beard?
For your beard, but from your beard sounds better.
Yeah, that's a gift from my wife at Christmas.
Yeah. Because even facial hair deserves to feel snug.
It does. It does. I've got lotion I put on it every now and then. When it gets longer, I like it to be smooth.
Do you get some of that beard oil and put it on there? Yeah. Does that work?
But only when it's, no. I don't know. Maybe. My beard's never gotten really long enough to be able to tell a difference between a non-oiled up beard and a lubricated beard.
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
Is your beard currently lubed?
It is not.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. Sorry.
So no lubed beard tonight. So if you were wanting to switch over to the video, not just the audio, you'll be disappointed because there's not a lubed beard.
Yeah. Sorry, all.
All right. Number 2, a Hallmark movie marathon. Self-explanatory. I think they're crying every time that small town baker wins the girl back from the big city lawyer.
Yeah. After he does
touching.
something really stupid to lose her, after he has kind of won her back for the first time.
That's right.
You know, he does something dumb. She goes back home, or he goes back home, and then they realize they can't live without the other. Yeah.
He sees her from a distance. The lawyer kisses her, even though she didn't want it, but the other guy thinks that they're together, and so he says, you just want him for his money, and says something hateful and walks away. But then later on, she sees him, you know, riding a horse and doing something semi-manly.
Oiling his beard.
Oiling his beard. She decides to help him.
Oh, I didn't know you oiled your beard. Forget the attorney.
Yep. Credits roll. And the number one thing, most unmanly thing that you're probably doing besides watching football is a pumpkin spice latte tasting tour. So instead of one of those wine tours, you're out just tasting different pumpkin spice lattes and saying things like there's a hint of nutmeg in this.
Yeah, are you a PSL fan?
I do. I love pumpkin, admittedly.
Yeah. I like it as well. And on the outside, I act like it's such an annoying thing that they come out at the beginning of September. But on the inside, I'm like, ooh, flannel weather.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Time to scrapbook my leaves.
Where's the central music? So I was going to ask you, how many of these things do you do?
Speaking of doing central things with your mouth.
So, you know, I like pumpkin spice lattes. Now, I don't know if I would do any of those. I would eat pie instead of watching a football game. Like if that was
pie over the football game?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, depending on the pie.
Yeah, it has to be good pie.
Yeah. I mean, and over the teams, you know, I like watching football, but if somebody's got like a fresh apple pie and a scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it.
If it's like Louisiana Monroe versus like Tulane, I'm going for the pumpkin spice latte and and probably the leaf scrapbooking.
I might even go sniff some candles. We can't have those in the house. Like I love the way they smell, but Bridget's like, it just makes me want to eat cookies. And she doesn't want to eat cookies because she has no joy in her life. But that's all it does. You know, for her, it's just, I'm going to ruin the way I eat if I smell that stuff. So I don't get the fun smelling candles.
That's sad because I love stuff that smells good.
Your house always smells good. Like it always smells like fresh baked goodies.
I burn candles. We have a pumpkin candle right now, and I will burn it. Mainly to cover up my dog's stinky breath. But
you do what you got to do.
That's right. Well, hey guys, we love to have fun, and we're going to be having some serious conversation this week and next week as well, as we hit a very interesting topic, one that's relative to all of us today. We're going to address a sobering and tragic event in this episode, specifically going to take a look at the assassination of Charlie Kirk and just talk about that a little bit and the Christian response. And then in our next episode, we're actually going to talk about guns, gun violence, guns and Christians. And the interesting thing was that we had talked about doing an entire month on guns and the Christian view of them before all of this happened with Charlie Kirk. And then it just so happened that this tragic event happened earlier this month, and here we are. But we're doing 2 episodes this month, and we're going to talk about both of these things. And this week specifically, we are going to discuss what happened and that Christian response to it. And whether you agreed with his politics or disagreed with his politics or his methods or whatever, I think we can all agree that his death was absolutely shocking. It was a reminder that there is violence and there is anger that is absolutely rampant in our nation. So as Christians, how do we respond to that? And that's going to be our focus today. We're going to look at really three things in today's podcast that I want us to specifically highlight in our discussion. And that is one, why hatred is never an option for followers of Jesus. Two, we're going to look at how do we balance our faith with politics without confusing the two, and how do we walk that, chaotic line sometimes. And then three, what practical, hope-filled responses look like in the face of tragedy. So, as you all know, I don't think we're revealing anything new to anyone that's listening to this this evening, but Charlie Kirk was a conservative activist. He was well known for founding Turning Point USA. He spoke very boldly about politics and culture. He went to a lot of college campuses, and he would have healthy debates, healthy conversations. If you watch some of the stuff that he did, he just liked to have that. He liked to open up the door for discussion. He was very vocal about his faith. There were some things I think that rubbed people the wrong way with him in terms of a lot of people thought he might have been a little arrogant and came off a little pompous at times, and maybe so. There are a lot of other things that people may say about him that I don't think necessarily are true. If you go back and really watch his videos, you see that he generally was a guy that just wanted to have conversation and enjoyed engaging in those kind of debates, healthy debates. But he was killed, obviously, and tragically, in an awful event. We all watched it through videos over and over, and I think the nation as a whole, for the most part, grieving this. But as soon as it happened, we saw reactions all over the place. We saw reactions from Christians. We saw reactions from non-Christians. We saw reactions from conservative Republicans. We saw reactions from leftist liberals, Democrats. All over the place, we saw reaction, just raw reaction. And that's sort of what we're going to get into in our episode tonight. But just to start things off, Josh, what was your initial sort of raw reaction to all of this?
Man, it was a lot of emotions right off the bat. So my daughter, my older daughter, Olivia, she loves Charlie Kirk, and my younger one does too. But Olivia loves debate. And so the way that Charlie would communicate with those he was speaking with, that really clicked with her. And so we have a family chat and text group called the Phillips Fam Jam. And she sent us, not that you need to know that, I just think it's a cool name and I wanted to share it. And so she sent a text, and it just said, Charlie Kirk's been shot. And I was driving at that point. And so, I didn't really have much of a good way to figure out what was going on. I got home about 10 minutes later, and I pop on the news, and that's what's there. And he had just been taken to the hospital. Like many here, I had the unfortunate pleasure of seeing the actual video of him getting hit with a bullet. I wish I hadn't seen that. But once I did, it was just this pit in my stomach that he's done. There's no way he's going to recover from that. And, and they had some reports saying he was stable but critical in the hospital, but still, it pretty quickly hit, he's gone. He's going to be gone. And, if you were to have me pick any political, advocate out there that I thought would be a target, I don't know if I would have picked Charlie because of the way he presents himself. And I'm not really answering the question yet, but that does kind of put me toward it because it was complete shock. Complete shock. And I watch his stuff. I'm thankful for who he is and what he did, and of course align with much of what he would say. But at first I was super sad. I was emotional that way. Bridget was home. We sat down, we watched a couple hours of coverage, and I was just so sad. And that next morning I woke up and I was angry. Like it had moved from that to just so angry. And I don't know who I was angry at. People, the left, the guy that shot him, guns, whoever, just a lot of anger. And it took a few days. Like I'm still wrestling with the emotions of it, but that initial just shock and sadness and anger kind of all mixed up for a few days before it really kind of started settling in.
Yeah, and I was similar. I was very shocked when I heard the news, and I first heard that he was shot. I was actually flying home from North Carolina that day, and so on my way back from the Nashville airport, saw the story that he had been shot, and at that point hadn't seen any videos, but just saw that story, and my first thought was, I hope he's okay. And I got home, changed clothes, and went for a run, actually, because I'd missed my morning run because I had an early flight. And while I was running, my daughter texted me and said, "Hey, did you hear Charlie Kirk's been shot and killed?" And at that point, I stopped running, and I thought I hadn't heard killed, and so I Google it. I'm right there on the side of the road. I Google, and sure enough, yeah, he had passed. And it was very, very shocking. I had to soak it in a little bit. I still had like 2 or 3 more miles left on the run, so I'm just thinking about it as I'm running, and just praying for his family, thinking how horrible that is, regardless of who it is. Just the fact that he was killed and in such a public way, and all those people had to witness it, just absolutely terrible, terrible event. And then I got home, and I did probably what I shouldn't have done, and I got on social media. And if anything, sometimes I wish there was a law that after stuff like this happens, that we should not be allowed to get on or say anything on social media for at least 24 hours. Because I think a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were angry. All the things that you were describing, that I'm describing, a lot of people felt that way. And you just saw it just flood social media. And of course, I got mad at things I heard from the left, but I also found myself getting mad at a lot of fellow believers because I saw a lot of Christians using it as an immediate opportunity to slam the left and say, and these are quotes, and I'm not going to say who it is, but I saw somebody say the left sucks. This is why I hate the left. And these are Christians, professing Christians, not just like nominal Christians, but guys that I know are in ministry saying these things.
Thanks for not saying my name. I appreciate it.
And I'm like, we're showing the same type of hate this young man who shot Charlie Kirk had in his heart when he pulled that trigger. And it convicted me because I had angry thoughts too, but it just absolutely convicted me. And, I think that's worth discussing as Christians because, yeah, we just want to go out and we want to immediately punch somebody or give somebody an earful a lot of times. But how often is God saying, be slow to speak, slow to anger, and just sit back and listen and pray? And I think that would have been our better course of action in that moment. I know many Christians probably did. I was stupid and I got on social media. I probably should have just sat and prayed. But I think it's important as Christians to look at this event through some biblical grounding. One, the sanctity of life. Every person, regardless of their political views, is made in God's image. Genesis 1:27. To look at this through the lens of justice and truth as it relates to God. Scripture calls us to pursue justice, Micah 6:8. Look at it through the lens of loving your enemies. Jesus talks a lot about that. Matthew 5, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And look at it through the lens of faithfulness over partisanship. Ultimately our allegiance is to Christ, not a political party. Now, obviously, we have political opinions and there's nothing wrong with that. But if that trumps, no pun intended, our faith, I think we really destroy our witness. I don't know. Did you see a lot of that going on?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's that initial. Everybody has to share a comment. I mean, I shared a few things, but I tried to keep it focused more on who Charlie was. And he had some things that he had shared just a day or two before about how Jesus had defeated death. Therefore, we don't have to fear it. And which I thought was pretty wild. That's where his mind was. But yeah, saw that, and then over the weekend, some well-known pastors on in the social media circles kind of saying, I read one Sunday afternoon, if your pastor didn't talk about Charlie Kirk by name, it's time to find another church. And
he called him a coward, didn't he?
Well, that guy did.
Yeah, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, but there was another one that we know of. Well, I mean, we don't know him personally, but I mean, that was Mark Driscoll said that. He's like, if your pastor didn't. Oh, you're saying did Mark called them cowards?
Yeah, Mark Driscoll called him a coward.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, because there was another preacher, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but he kind of got a lot of play. He's a black pastor in a black church, and was really going off on who Charlie was in a negative way. And I'm like, you had this on both ends, and I'm sorry, the Holy Spirit, I don't think, leads either one of those. If all Christians were really trying to listen to the Spirit's leadership in things like that, I feel like our message would be much more unified than what it is. And so you saw all that. And it is kind of disheartening that the people that I know and love that claim faith are falling on both sides of that as well. And I'm thinking, what has happened to the Christian unity, that bond of unity that we have through the Spirit? I'm trailing off there, but
no, on Sunday I went, and we talked about Dr. Larry Robertson before. He's the pastor of Hilldale, and I'll go there after my chapel service every Sunday, and I love just being able to sit under his teaching. He's kind of a spiritual hero of mine. Just love his preaching, love his teaching, and I always get a lot out of it. But he was talking, very convicting message for me as I'm listening to it. He's talking about the marks of a Christian, and he didn't specifically he didn't say the name Charlie Kirk. He didn't specifically address that event, but he obviously alluded to the fact that, hey, there was a lot going on in our world, last week as he was preaching the week after. And he was talking about how the reason I mentioned being slow to speak is he hit on that, and he said there's a lot of times where I want to respond to things either on social media or in person, but I have to step back and say, wait a second, do I need to sit and reflect on this first before I give somebody an earful? And as he's saying that, I'm thinking in my mind of the people that I know that are sitting around me, that I'm like, I know what that guy said on social media. I know what that guy said. Mm-hmm. And then God convicted me of that because, and part of it was through Larry's teaching, is we also, as Christians, the wrong response is to sort of get angry at our fellow Christians in such a way that it causes us to, have sort of an unrighteous anger, in the sense where we're just angry and we want to put them in their place. It's not quite turning temple tables to show a message. It's more like, hey, you shouldn't have said that. And then all of a sudden we're divisive amongst our brothers and sisters. It's more about, how can we slow down and just seek God's face in this before we start saying anything or responding in anything. But it's hard because the human part of us wants to respond immediately because we can.
Yeah. I mean, I struggled with that. Even today, just reading through social media, some things that are still being said. Like, I don't know how many things I've typed out and deleted. That seems to be my practice now with social media. because I'm thinking, you're so wrong in this. And I'll get angry at that person. That person's a believer. And, and I want to respond in kind. And so Jeff, I know you get it too. Like, we understand that. And in a situation like this, I don't know if we've gone through anything quite like this, at least in my lifetime, in 46 years. I know there have been assassination attempts, but as far as in my lifetime, I don't know of anybody like on the level of who Charlie Kirk was, being killed like that. And so it's, outside of 9/11, just the complete unknowing of how to handle the emotions that I'm feeling. But I know that I'm called to cast all my cares on the Lord, to cast all my anxieties on the Lord, because He cares for me. And I wish I was better at making that my initial response when I come across an event or even just certain post.
Because it's and that's a part of looking at balancing faith and politics. And we're right at 30 minutes here, so we'll just kind of wrap this up quickly. But it's easier to balance faith and politics, I believe, when we put all of our hope in Jesus. Absolutely. Over the elected officials, over the policies, over the change or whatever thing that we want to see changed, and let our faith inform the politics. Don't let politics define our faith. And then guard our rhetoric, the things that we say. We could choose words that heal and not ignite and inflame. And I think too often, to sort of win the debate or the argument or stick it to whoever, we do like to use those words that sort of jab a little bit. And then in turn, what can we do? We can pray and grieve. We can show people how to grieve. We can grieve alongside them. We can listen with empathy. We can speak love and truth. We can engage in civic life and stand for things like justice and safety and reforms where needed. And we're going to talk about guns in our next episode, so we're going to touch on, I think, some of this as well, but really show the world those guns.
So we're talking about?
Yeah. The gun show. Stay tuned for our next episode, because you're going to get to see the gun show. But show the world that we have hope, that we have real hope, and where it lies. It's in Jesus Christ, who conquered death, who reconciles enemies, and who offers a peace that the world cannot give. We know our world is broken. This is just another sign of that. And this is a reminder of why the gospel matters and why the gospel is so important. And so we have to be careful with how we respond, so that we don't hamper the gospel going forward.
Yeah, I saw, it wasn't the first day. It may have been Friday, Saturday. Somebody shared something, and they said, if the gunman, Tyler, is that his name? If he comes to a point where he repents and believes in Christ, then when he arrives in heaven, Charlie Kirk will be there to greet him with a hug and saying, like, that's how the gospel works. And that was something that in that moment I needed to be reminded of, that as whatever this guy did, it's a result of evil at work in his life. And if I didn't have the Holy Spirit in me, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would allow to influence my actions. I don't know what type of vendetta I might walk around with, or however you want to put it. Like, that guy is what the end of fallen human nature does. And it happened with the very first family, with Cain killing Abel, a completely innocent guy being taken out by someone. And Jesus said, sin crouches at your door. And that's for all of us. And that's what happened with this guy. Evil had a major influence in his life. And so I want this guy to come to know Jesus. Like the side of me that's for justice, like I think there's a certain path that should be followed. But at the end of the day, before he passes, however that happens, man, how awesome if he came to know Christ. And then I would assume Erica, Charlie's wife and Turning Point, and I would assume they would embrace this guy. But no matter where you land on the things politically, if you're a believer, that's what you're cheering for.
Amen.
Right? That's what we're hoping for. And so if all of our response is anger filled towards him or towards the left or towards whatever, we're not in the right place to pray for what's ultimate, and that's that the gospel completely wreaks havoc in this guy's life, right? Yeah. And flips his world upside down.
And we can't expect the world that lives without Jesus to respond, to react in the right way. And so it's important that as Christians, we look to how we should respond as Jesus would respond, and love as Jesus would love, and be that example, and be really that stability in the chaos. And I think that's another thing that, people are drawn more towards real, genuine stability in times of crisis. I don't know how many people I saw going to church that hadn't gone to church in a long time. I've counseled soldiers in my office more this week than I have in previous weeks because of this event. And they're thinking it's getting the wheels turning in a way for this younger generation who didn't see 9/11 happen. This is one of the most insane, tragic occurrences in their lifetime. And, whether they were a fan of Charlie Kirk or not, seeing somebody assassinated like this in such a public way, it was really, really scary, and I think really touched a nerve with a lot of people. And so it's important that we as Christians offer a place that is warm, welcoming, loving, and shows, that stability of the solid rock of Jesus Christ in our lives. Thank you for listening and being a part of the discussion today. You can be a part of the discussion by, giving us comments, giving us some feedback. Feel free, even if you disagree with anything that we said. We want to hear it. We're not going to try to be jerks in response. We want to have a real conversation with you and just love on you like Jesus would. But this is a very heavy topic, one that we could spend hours and hours on. We're going to dive into more of this in the next episode, but specifically, we're going to talk about guns and gun violence, Christians and self-defense and all that. We're going to look into those things, and I know probably a little bit more of what happened with Charlie Kirk, will be a part of that conversation as well. So we encourage you to listen to our next episode. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. We love you guys.
Thanks for being here.